Welcome back to day 2 and part 2 of this journey. I am currently outside of my comfort zone recording this video in a very public forum, that is the Cairns Airport. So doing this because I need to learn to step outside my comfort zone whilst doing these videos, and what better way than doing it in such a busy place like this. So on my way back home from Mission Beach, so I'm looking forward to a couple of weeks break. I'm looking forward to doing some more writing and reading and all that sort of stuff, so I can bring more content to you guys. But today I'm going to share some writings from my mentor Steve. For those who are close to me or those who have been following along on my journey, you know who Steve was. But for those who don't, beside my mother, Steve was my greatest teacher. He was my spiritual guide. And as I really started to open my awareness to the happenings inside this reality, wherever this journey takes me, Steve will always be the catalyst to my own awakening, and for that I will forever be grateful. Steve and I used to catch up once a fortnight and would sit and have very deep philosophical conversations for hours on end. As I grew and experienced things that blew my mind or simply I could not explain, he was the bloke that I would turn to be able to share said experience. A conversation free of judgment and filled with immense knowledge. From that moment that I'd met Steve, this large, beautiful human, he welcomed me with open arms and an open heart. From that very moment, I knew that he was going to play a pivotal role in my life, but from that same moment, our time together was limited. See, Steve was around 70 when I met him, and at this point, he already had terminal cancer. His diagnosis had actually kept me up for many nights as I scoured the infinite intelligence that we all have access to for answers on how I can help this gentle giant to beat the war that was going on inside him. But late last year, almost to a year to the date actually, the anniversary of his passing was just last week. But yeah, late last year, he lost that war. And because of those conversations that he and I would have often around his own death, at least I could rest easy knowing that he was at peace with the next stage of his journey. Because of this friendship that I'd formed, I also gained a new family. Joe, Jess, Sarah and Stephen will always hold a special place in my heart, as they've welcomed me with open arms, as much like their husband and father did. One of the conversations that I had had with Steve, which would be possibly the last conversation I would have with him in his house before he would go into palliative care, was how one of the only things that he wishes he could change would be to be able to impact more people with what he had learnt. My words to him were, "You know the direction my life is heading. You have impacted me in more ways than either of us will ever truly understand." And with those words, I swore to myself that I would continue on his legacy through his teachings, and to this day I'm still learning from this great man. I have a bunch of his books, but more importantly, I have a bunch of his writings, many of which I need to grow further so I can truly comprehend the depth and the complexity of his words. My life work is sparked from our conversations, and when completed will be dedicated to him, his family, and my own. Steve, I know you're watching and listening. I speak this to you now. Thank you for everything you were and everything that you continue to be. As Deepak Chopra puts it, death isn't the end of us, it is simply the end of this experience. The following is an excerpt of some of Steve's writings called his wish list. I will read each wish, then give a brief explanation or breakdown of the wish in my own words. I transcend all limitations of my personal disbeliefs and doubts. If we can get rid of all notions that we have finite capabilities, then you open yourself up to becoming the infinitely powerful being that you were always destined to be. I choose the end result of achieving my own self-mastery and my highest ordeals. This is about you taking control of your own destiny. Take back the reins to your own path. You decide the outcome, no one else. I choose to be the dominant creative force in my life. Creativity is one of the fundamental building blocks that makes you, you. Let your creativity fly, and you will begin to witness your divine path open up in front of your very eyes. I am protected. Pretty simple. There are forces behind the stage that are watching over you, your future self included. We call this intuition. I surrender to the greater mind. There is a unified consciousness out there that science has just started to discover. We all have access to the infinite intelligence that I mentioned earlier. In fact, you interact with it every single day. You think that your thoughts just arise out of nowhere? I am impeccable with my word. This is something that I am striving for, which is why I'm doing these videos. The words we speak play a greater role in our own existence and to everyone we speak them to. Please be careful with your words and choose them very wisely. I am immune to the opinions of others. We think this as just the negative opinions, but we need to be mindful of the positive ones just the same. Stay true to yourself, regardless of the others' opinions. I assume nothing. As Socrates said, I know that I know nothing. And the more I learn, the more I realize that I truly know nothing. But this is also what we may perceive as a truth about someone. I judge nothing that occurs. As above, we know nothing. So who are we to pass judgment on someone or a situation? Letting go is one of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself. I release myself from the burden of worry and delusion. Again, as above, simply letting go is a wonderful tool that we all have access to. Being absolutely present in mind removes all worry. I am unlimited mind. Your mind is the most powerful tool at your disposal. Open it up and it will grant you the most grandiose of gifts. I awaken the genius within me. We are all born geniuses in something. We just need to go back and reopen your childlike curiosity to be able to discover it. I seek real freedom and self-reliance. To be free from attachment and reliance on others is a liberating feeling. This will allow you to go down your path undisturbed. I seek to achieve self-realization. To understand you and to understand why you do the things that you do is an incredibly powerful weapon in your arsenal. I live with a light heart. This goes back to letting go. Carrying a heavy heart makes your journey unnecessarily cumbersome. There is nothing more thrilling, more fulfilling than conquering my internal programming from the past. This is huge, and once you start to go down the path of self-discovery, you are releasing yourself from the program of an old society and an old you. I intend to release all energy that I have invested in negative emotion. Emotions affect us in very physical ways. Look at crying, for example. That is a very physical response to what is generally a negative emotion. Holding on to said negativity can and will make you physically ill. This is something that I will talk about more down the track. I love the conquest, I love the chase, I love the thought, and I love the wait. Put simply, love every part of the journey, but delayed gratification should be one of your best mates in this life. Each act of managing my own mind is a step towards my personal joy. As I said earlier, your mind is a very powerful thing. And as Uncle Ben so eloquently puts it, with great power comes great responsibility. Don't be a slave to your mind. I seek freedom and self-advancement. If we're constantly pushing ourselves towards being a better version of who we were yesterday, then that is where we get fulfillment in our being. Each conquest over my limitations is a building block to my personal power and my freedom, a feeling which can't be matched by any brief sensory pleasure or material reward. The reward for you, discovering you, is far greater and more fulfilling than any material prize you have ever won in the past. Every actual and perceived act of self-mastery is a deposit into my neurological, psychological, and biological state of greatness. Going down this road is going to change you in ways that you could never begin to imagine. As I only choose the positive, then I have no need to put conditions on myself. If I believe all circumstances serve me in a positive way, then why not be unconditional about them? The happenings of the universe are neutral. It is our own perception of them that makes it good or bad. Why not approach everything as if it were a positive? I trust and allow that my personal intuitive power and the embracing of my heart's desire will put me in the right place at the right time in all my undertakings. Intuition is another massively powerful tool. The science tells us that all time is happening all the time. You need to start listening to your gut, for she speaks to you. And your heart, for that matter, is the start of your own creation. It is formed before your brain whilst you're in your mother's womb. Start listening to it while you're at it. But that is all of Steve's wishes on that list. I hope you've got something out of this. If there is anything that you would like me to elaborate more on, or you'd like me to share your own, or you would like to share your own insights, please feel free to comment or slide into my DMs. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you think this could be valuable to somebody else, please share it. Signing off again, and until next time, much love and namaste.